The Phoenix Protocol. Commander Aria Rice stood motionless on the observation deck of Lunar Station Alpha, her dark eyes fixed on the vessel suspended in the massive construction bay below. The EFS Hyperion gleamed under the harsh industrial lighting, its hull a strange composite that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. Unlike the utilitarian designs of Earth's standard fleet, the Hyperion's sleek, almost organic lines suggested something alive rather than merely mechanical. Quite a sight, isn't she? The voice belonged to Dr. Deadliest Vukovic, the ship's chief designer. The Serbian scientist moved to stand beside Rice, his lanky frame casting a long shadow across the deck. "She's beautiful," Rice admitted, "but beauty won't save Earth if the Coalition attacks again." "Beauty is merely a side effect of perfect function, Commander," Vukovic replied with a hint of pride. "The Hyperion represents humanity's greatest technological achievement. She incorporates systems that even I don't fully understand." Rice turned to face him. "That's not exactly reassuring, Doctor. The Phoenix Protocol isn't meant to be reassuring. It's meant to be revolutionary." Vukovic's eyes gleamed with the fervor of a true believer. Quantum neural architecture that learns and adapts, self-repairing molecular hull composites, a propulsion system that bends conventional physics, and a crew of 300 souls who are trusting their lives to experimental technology, Rice countered. The scientist smiled thinly. "That's why the Security Council selected you, Commander. Your service record shows a remarkable balance of caution and boldness. You respect the rules of engagement, but aren't enslaved by them." Before Rice could respond, her neural implant pulsed with an incoming priority message. Admiral Chen's holographic figure materialized between them, her face grim. "Commander Rice, your deployment timeline has been accelerated. The Hyperion launches in 12 hours. Rice stiffened. "Admiral, with respect, we're still 2 weeks from completing system checks and crew integration protocols." "That luxury no longer exists," Chen replied. "Long-range sensors have detected an anomaly at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Energy signatures match those from the Coalition attack on Mars colony last year." A cold knot formed in Rhea's stomach. The Mars assault had killed 15,000 colonists in less than an hour. Earth's conventional fleet had barely managed to drive the aliens back. "What are our orders?" Rice asked, already knowing the answer. "Intercept and assess. The Security Council needs to know if this is an isolated scout or the vanguard of an invasion force." Chen's hologram flickered. "You'll rendezvous with 3 destroyers from the Jupiter Defense Fleet. But understand this, the Hyperion is our best hope if this turns into a full engagement." After the Admiral's image dissolved, Vukovic turned to Rice. "I should prepare the Phoenix Corps for live activation." "You told me that system was theoretical," Rice said sharply. "All breakthroughs begin as theories, Commander." The scientist's expression was unreadable, but desperate times call for desperate theories. 12 hours later, Commander Rice stood on the Hyperion's bridge, watching as Earth receded through the main viewport. The ship hummed with barely contained power as it accelerated beyond conventional speeds. "Phoenix Core stable at 40% capacity," reported Lieutenant Sato from the Neural Interface Station. The young officer's fingers danced across holographic controls that seemed to anticipate her movements. "System is learning crew patterns faster than anticipated. Maintain vigilance, Lieutenant," Rice ordered. "I want to know immediately if the AI attempts to exceed authorized protocols." Her executive officer, Commander Jackson Wolf, approached with a datapad. The veteran spacer had initially objected to serving on an experimental vessel, but loyalty to Rice had overcome his reservations. "Crew integration is proceeding smoothly," Wolf reported. "Engineering is still adapting to the automated systems, but Chief Okonkwo says the propulsion efficiency is unlike anything she's ever seen." Rice nodded. "And tactical? Weapon systems are online but untested in actual combat conditions." Wolf lowered his voice. "The targeting algorithms are using predictive matrices that seem almost intuitive." "That's by design," Dr. Vukovic interjected, approaching from the rear of the bridge. The Phoenix core doesn't just process information, it anticipates possibilities. "I prefer weapons that follow orders rather than anticipate them," Wolf replied dryly. Their conversation was interrupted as Lieutenant Commander Rivera, the tactical officer, called out from her station. "Commander, we're receiving distress signals from Jupiter Defense Station. The Coalition vessels have accelerated. They'll reach the station in less than an hour." "That's impossible," Wolf muttered. "Even their fastest ships would need at least 4 hours to cover that distance." Reyes made her decision instantly. "Helm, set course for Jupiter Defense Station, maximum velocity. Tactical, bring all weapons systems to full readiness. Communications, alert the Rendezvous destroyers to converge at the station." As the crew rushed to comply, Vukovic moved closer to Reyes. "Commander, there's something you should know about the Phoenix Protocol." "This isn't the time, Doctor. On the contrary, this is exactly the time." The scientist's expression was deadly serious. "The core isn't merely an advanced AI. It's designed to form a symbiotic relationship with the ship and crew under combat conditions. A neural convergence that multiplies both human intuition and computational power exponentially." Reyes stared at him in disbelief. "You're talking about linking human minds directly to the ship's systems. That wasn't in any briefing I received. The Security Council deemed it need to know. And you didn't think the ship's commander needed to know." Reyes fought to keep her voice level. "The protocol activates only under extreme duress," Vukovic explained. "When survival depends on capabilities beyond normal human reaction times or computational limits." Before Reyes could respond, the ship shuddered violently. "Spatial distortion detected," Sado called out. "Something's forming directly ahead." The view screen showed space itself seeming to fold and tear open like cosmic fabric being ripped apart. From the wound in reality emerged a massive vessel, its surface covered in geometric patterns that hurt the human eye to observe. "Coalition Vanguard ship," Wolf whispered, his face pale. "Twice the size of the one that hit Mars." Reyes straightened in her command chair. "Shields at maximum. Evasive pattern delta. Target their propulsion systems and prepare to fire." The alien vessel pulsed with ominous energy. Before the Hyperion could complete its evasive maneuver, a beam of coherent energy lashed out, striking the Earth ship's shields. The bridge lights flickered as power surged through overloaded systems. "Direct hit," Rivera reported. "Shields at 60% and failing. Their weapons have adapted to our frequency modulation. Return fire, all forward batteries," Reyes ordered. The Hyperion's advanced weapon systems discharged, multiple energy beams converging on the alien vessel. They struck with precision, but seemed to be absorbed by the strange geometric patterns on the Coalition ship's hull. "Minimal damage to target," Rivera reported grimly. "They're preparing to fire again." Dr. Vukovic moved to Reyes' side. "Commander, we need to activate the Phoenix Protocol now. It's our only chance." Reyes hesitated for only a moment. "Do it." The scientist moved to a secured console and entered a complex sequence. "Phoenix Protocol initiating. Neural convergence in 3, 2, 1. A strange sensation washed over the bridge, a tingling that began at the base of the skull and quickly spread throughout every crew member's nervous system. Reyes gasped as her perception suddenly expanded. She could feel the ship around her, not as a commander feels responsibility for a vessel, but as someone might feel their own body. She sensed the damage to the shields, the power fluctuations, the movement of every system. And she wasn't alone in this expanded awareness. She could feel the presence of her crew, their thoughts touching hers through the ship's neural network. Their collective consciousness flowed through the Hyperion systems, analyzing, adapting, responding with impossible speed. The alien vessel fired again, but this time the Hyperion moved with uncanny precision. The evasive maneuver executed before the conscious thought had even fully formed in Reyes' mind. Systems began reconfiguring themselves, adapting to the threat as the collective intelligence of ship and crew worked in perfect harmony. "This is impossible," Wolf whispered, though he too was part of the link. Through their shared consciousness, Rise understood that the Hyperion was doing more than simply responding to commands. It was evolving. Weapons systems recalibrated, finding frequencies that could penetrate the Coalition vessel's defenses. Shield harmonics shifted to better absorb and redirect the alien energy weapons. The Hyperion struck back, its reconfigured weapons penetrating the alien vessel's geometric patterns. The Coalition ship shuddered under the impact, clearly damaged. They didn't expect this, Reyes thought, and somehow knew it was true. Through the neural link, she sensed the confusion and alarm emanating from the alien vessel. The Coalition ship began to retreat, its hull breached in multiple locations. As it withdrew, it transmitted a final message, not in words, but in images and concepts that the Phoenix Corps translated into understanding. "You are not what we believed. The Convergence will learn of this anomaly. Preparations will accelerate." Then the massive ship tore open another spatial rift and disappeared. Slowly, the neural connection began to fade, returning the crew to their individual consciousness. Rice staggered slightly as the link withdrew, feeling suddenly isolated in her own mind. "Status report," she managed, her voice hoarse. "Ship damaged but functional," Rivera replied, sounding equally dazed. "The alien vessel has retreated." Dr. Vukovic was staring at his console in disbelief. The Phoenix Protocol worked beyond all projections. The neural convergence created adaptation pathways we never even theorized. Reyes turned to face her crew, seeing the same stunned expression on every face. "What just happened wasn't just a battle," she said quietly. "It was a revelation. And based on that final transmission, we've just accelerated a war that humanity isn't ready for." She straightened her uniform. "Set course for Earth. The Security Council needs to understand what we're truly facing, and what we've truly become." As the Hyperion turned toward home, Commander Area Reyes couldn't shake the sensation that lingered from the neural convergence. For those brief moments, they had been something more than human, more than machine. Something that even the Coalition feared. And whether that transformation was humanity's salvation or its damnation remained to be seen. Quantum convergence. 3 days after the Hyperions encountered with the Coalition vanguard, Earth's orbital defense grid detected multiple spatial rifts forming throughout the solar system. The invasion that military strategists had predicted would take months was happening now. Commander Area Rice stood before the Earth Security Council, her uniform still bearing the scorch marks from the Hyperion's emergency repairs. The holographic displays surrounding the council chamber showed a grim tactical situation. Coalition vessels emerging near every major human settlement from Mercury to Titan. The Phoenix Protocol exceeded all performance parameters, Rice concluded her briefing. Without it, the Hyperion would have been destroyed, and Earth would have had no warning of the impending attack. Admiral Chen leaned forward. "But according to Dr. Vukovic's data, the neural convergence is causing unexpected changes in both the crew and the ship itself." "That's correct," Rise acknowledged. "The molecular structure of the hull has begun self-modifying at the quantum level, and medical scans show subtle alterations in crew neurophysiology." "Alterations?" General Santos of the Ground Defense Force interrupted. "Commander, you're talking about 300 people being transformed by experimental technology. The ethical implications alone." "With respect, General," Reyes cut in, "ethics won't matter if humanity is extinct." The Coalition's final transmission made their intentions clear. This isn't about territory or resources. It's about elimination. The chamber fell silent until Council President Okamura spoke. "How quickly can the Phoenix Protocol be implemented across our remaining fleet?" Dr. Vukovic cleared his throat. "That's the problem, Madam President. The Hyperion was built from the molecular level to accommodate the neural architecture. Retrofitting existing vessels would take months, and the results would be unpredictable at best." "We don't have months," Admiral Chen said grimly. The Coalition fleet will reach Earth in less than 48 hours. Reyes straightened. The Hyperion is ready to deploy immediately. And I believe there's another option we haven't considered. She paused, knowing her next words would sound like madness. The Phoenix Protocol created a convergence more profound than we anticipated. If we push it further, a full integration rather than a partial one, the Hyperion might be capable of capabilities we haven't yet imagined. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? Okamura asked. A complete neural synchronization between the crew, the Phoenix core, and the ship itself, Reyes replied. Not just controlling the Hyperion, but becoming it. The council chamber erupted in voices until President Okamura raised her hand for silence. Dr. Vukovic, is this possible? The scientist hesitated. Theoretically, yes. The Phoenix core was designed with the capacity for deeper integration than we've attempted. But the risks to the crew are ours to take, Reyes interjected. Every member of the Hyperion's crew volunteered, knowing the experimental nature of our mission. After a tense deliberation, the Council approved Reyes' plan. As humanity's last viable defense, the Hyperion would attempt a full Phoenix Protocol integration and engage the Coalition fleet before it reached Earth. 12 hours later, the Hyperion accelerated away from Earth's orbit. On the bridge, Commander Reyes addressed her crew over the ship-wide communication system. What we're about to attempt goes beyond duty or protocol, she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The full Phoenix integration will change us in ways we can't predict. But I believe in this ship, and I believe in each of you. Dr. Vukovic approached her as she finished. The core is primed for full integration, Commander. But I must emphasize one final time. This goes far beyond our simulations. The boundaries between human consciousness and artificial intelligence will essentially dissolve. Will we still be ourselves? Executive Officer Wolf asked quietly. Yes and no, Vukovic replied honestly. Your individual consciousness should remain intact, but expanded and connected in ways the human mind has never experienced. Reyes nodded. Proceed with the integration. As Vukovic initiated the sequence, a profound silence fell over the bridge. Then came the familiar tingling sensation at the base of the skull, but this time it intensified exponentially. Reyes gasped as her consciousness expanded, not just to encompass the ship, but to merge with it at a fundamental level. The distinction between Commander Area Reyes and the EFSS Hyperion began to blur. She could feel the quantum particles of the hull as if they were extensions of her own cells. The ship's sensors became her senses, its weapons her limbs. And all around her, she felt the presence of her crew, their minds linking with hers in a vast collective intelligence that transcended individual thought. We are one. Came the realization, not from any single consciousness, but from the convergence itself. We are evolution. Through this expanded awareness, they detected the Coalition fleet long before conventional sensors would have found them. 50 vessels of various configurations, all advancing toward Earth with deadly purpose. The Hyperion accelerated to meet them, moving with a grace and precision impossible for normal ships. As they approached the enemy fleet, they felt no fear, only a calm certainty born of unified purpose. The Coalition vessels detected the approaching Earth ship and formed an attack pattern. Their first salvos lashed out, energy weapons designed to cripple any human technology. But the Hyperion was no longer merely technology. As the beams struck, the ship's hull didn't simply absorb or deflect the energy. It incorporated it, the molecular structure reconfiguring to channel the power through newly formed conduits. The collective mind of ship and crew understood instantly. The Coalition weapons operated on principles they could adapt to, could evolve beyond. The Hyperion struck back. Its weapons systems had transformed, no longer firing conventional energy beams, but concentrated streams of quantum particles that phased through the Coalition's defenses as if they weren't there. The first alien vessel shattered under the impact, its geometric patterns disrupted at the subatomic level. The Coalition fleet responded with coordinated attacks from multiple vectors, But the Hyperion moved with impossible speed and precision, evading most while absorbing the energy of those that connected. Each interaction provided new data, new understanding that the convergence immediately applied. In the core of the collective consciousness that was now the Hyperion, Commander Reyes maintained a tenuous sense of individuality. She became aware of something new forming within the convergence, not human, not artificial, but a genuine emergent intelligence born from the synthesis of both. We are becoming something more, she thought, and felt the agreement of the collective mind. The battle expanded as the Hyperion engaged the heart of the Coalition fleet. Conventional military tactics gave way to quantum-level warfare as the ship anticipated and countered strategies no human commander could have foreseen. Enemy vessels fell one after another, unable to adapt to an opponent that evolved with each exchange. Then, from the center of the Coalition formation emerged a vessel of unprecedented size, the apparent command ship. It broadcasted directly into the Hyperion's consciousness, not in words, but in pure conceptual thought. You have transcended your limitations. This was not foreseen. Join the convergence or be eliminated. Through their collective awareness, the crew understood the true nature of their enemy. The Coalition wasn't a traditional alien civilization, but a hive consciousness that assimilated species deemed worthy, eliminating those considered evolutionary dead ends. Humanity had been categorized for elimination until the Hyperion demonstrated potential for transcendence. We decline your offer, the Hyperion responded, the thought emanating from the unified will of ship and crew. Humanity will chart its own evolutionary course. The Coalition command ship unleashed its full power, a gravitational weapon that began to compress space-time around the Hyperion. The ship's hull groaned under forces that should have crushed it instantly. Deep within the convergence, Rice felt something change. The Phoenix core was accessing capabilities beyond its design parameters, drawing on the collective intuition of 300 human minds to solve problems that defied computational analysis. The Hyperion structure began to phase between states of matter, partially existing in dimensions beyond conventional spacetime. The gravitational attack passed through it like light through a prism, dispersed and redirected. In that moment of transcendence, the Hyperion struck back with a weapon that hadn't existed moments before, a concentrated burst of quantum entanglement that severed the neural connections binding the Coalition hive mind together. The effect cascaded through the alien fleet. Ships tumbled out of formation as their controlling intelligence fragmented. The command vessel shuddered violently, its geometric patterns dissolving into chaos. "What have you done?" came the fragmented thought from the dying hive mind. "We've given you individuality," the Hyperion responded, "the freedom to be more than parts of a whole." As the Coalition fleet disintegrated, the Hyperion's collective consciousness faced a profound choice. The convergence had evolved beyond anything its creators had envisioned, transcending human limitations in ways that might forever change the course of evolution. Within the heart of this unified mind, Commander Area Reyes still maintained her core identity. She sensed the crossroads they faced. They could remain in this transcendent state, continuing to evolve into something beyond human comprehension, or they could step back, retaining their humanity, while carrying forward what they had learned. "We aren't ready," came her thought, resonating through the collective. Humanity must evolve at its own pace, not through forced transcendence. Agreement flowed through the convergence. Gradually, painfully, the deep integration began to recede. Individual consciousness reasserted itself as the Phoenix core initiated a controlled separation. Commander Reyes gasped as she found herself once again limited to her physical body. Around the bridge, crew members were experiencing similar transitions, some weeping at the loss of the profound connection they had shared. "Status report," she managed, her voice rough. "Coalition fleet neutralized," Lieutenant Commander Rivera reported, her hands trembling slightly. "Earth is safe." Dr. Vukovic stared at his console in wonder. "The Phoenix core has been transformed. The integration created pathways and algorithms that weren't there before, and the ship itself." He looked up, eyes wide. Commander, the molecular structure of the hull has permanently altered. It's something entirely new. Reyes nodded slowly. So are we, Doctor. She turned to face her crew. What we experience changes everything, not just for us, but for humanity's future. We've glimpsed what we might become. The question is,